That was slick, actually.
Fucking sick nasty.
Welcome to episode 41 of Bros Park. You're welcome by yours truly, Jeff.
And always joined by me, Colin. And today we've got episode 41. It's another BEA beautiful day
in the park. Guess what we did yesterday? Last night.
Last night, yes. We
in a dark and hot and steamy room.
Just the two of us?
And a crowd.
Yeah, there was a crowd watching too. We went to the new-ish movie 28 years later, which,
yeah, dude.
Man, we grew up and we loved 28 days and 28 weeks later.
What? I actually watched 28 weeks later first. And then I didn't watch.
Like for the first time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then I watched 28 days later,
okay.
years later. With Cillian Murphy.
Yes, I watched 28 Days Later first, for sure, and then 28 Weeks Later. I also rewatched them leading up to this movie because I didn't watch them in
I didn't
5 to 10 years. But man, let's just get into it. This movie was good.
Yeah,
I fucking loved it.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, dude. There were moments in time because I was sitting beside Colin.
Yeah.
There were moments in time when I was like,
yeah. And I could hear him every now and again hyperventilating. He's like,
dude, I'm like, dude, I actually I haven't done that in a movie theater, in a movie setting where I'm like, oh, fuck, shit.
It was definitely a stressful movie.
Dude.
And that's what was good about it, though. Like, that made sense given the context of it all, which was great.
And the good thing about that type of horror movie is I hate movies like, The Nun or Annabelle.
Mm-hmm.
When it's just cheap jump scares.
Sure.
This one was it set the atmosphere.
Yeah.
There were some jump scares.
Of course. I mean, you can't get away from them.
They were done well.
Yeah.
But it was just more oh, I don't like this situation, man. I don't like this setting. I don't like it.
Well, it was also,
but in a good way.
It wasn't even jump scares. It was these long, elongated scenes where nothing was happening. That was the creepiest thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't the jump scare part, which was awesome. But I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a departure from the first two. I think this one is directed by Danny Boyle, and I think Cillian Murphy's an EP on it, so obviously he was in the first one.
Yeah, it's crazy. The main actor in 28 Days Later is the producer, executive producer for 28 years later.
And
what a good callback, man.
I know,
that's nice.
Again, spoilers if you haven't watched it or anything. Okay, mute us and just let the video play. But I think there is a sequel to 28 Years Later called 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple.
Boner Temple.
Coming out in January 2026, I believe. So pretty soon after the release of this one.
Okay, the ending of the movie went goddamn balls to the walls.
And it also was
wacky.
It was just a fucking heavy right turn, warning whatsoever.
If you had to ask me mid movie viewing, how do you think this is gonna end? That's the lowest answer I would answer.
I would never come up with that.
Yeah.
And so I think for a lot of reasons, this one became creepier. You could definitely see that there was inspirations from other stuff. They were on the Holy Island from the Holy Island mission where it was safe and peaceful and you could only get there during low tide. And you could tell that they had developed this cult-like mentality, almost like Midsommar type vibe.
that's what happens when
you need to survive.
You're a village.
Yeah. You're desolate. Nobody's around you. You have no interactions with anyone except for in the village.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There were some weird parts. Why did they all of a sudden throw on purge masks, basically, for the party? That seems
and why
odd.
does this mask have a goddamn arrow inside of it? It's freaky. And why does it kind of have that Bagul look to it? Where it's
and the eyes are kind of bleeding and shit. It didn't make sense why that was there, but it added to the creepiness factor.
But even though it was kind of a departure, I felt like it did do a lot of good callbacks from the previous movies.
I think the callbacks were good.
So one big hit of 28 Weeks Later that I absolutely loved
was Jeremy Renner getting torched.
No.
Got
Was
it.
the beginning sequence, the opening sequence. That shit was probably like,
yeah.
it stands out to me because
In the
the
house?
music, it's creepy,
Mhm.
it's scary, it's tense.
Mhm.
They did do something similar to that in this in 28 years later,
Yep.
but I didn't feel like it was to the same effect. But they kind of like drew inspiration from 28 weeks later.
It did feel parallel to that.
Yep.
I found that it was creepier.
Really?
And I found that it was creepier, I think, because like Teletubbies was playing on the TV, all the kids were there,
Yeah.
and then, everything happens. And of course, you need the like pastor praying, saying like, "This is Judgment Day. This is a glorious day for us all."
There's like zombies surrounding the church.
Okay,
like the kid like escapes the church.
Yeah.
Zombies surround the church, and the father's like,
Yeah.
take this, keep it with you. This is Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And he's just cheering as the zombies are coming to eat him. I'm like, oh, wow, that's great.
It's just a religious orgasm where he's like,
finally,
Day.
yes.
And it's like, okay, like shit. So I think all of those things added it to be really creepy for me. And I don't know, in 28 weeks later, it was just like bitch boy dad running. and then lying to his kids, being like, I did everything I could.
But to be honest, dude, him running is like, dude, he's getting chased.
It's realistic.
Hundreds of zombies.
It's realistic.
I love that scene so much.
It is so good. And then the wife getting basically killed in the window from the zombies.
Like, hey, man, come on. Hey, he did everything right.
It's realistic, but I probably wouldn't have lied to my kid saying I did everything I could.
Yeah.
I would be like, hey, I saw her get swarmed by a horde of zombies.
Or like, hey, your mom was being an idiot.
Yeah, saving a kid that's not you guys.
Ew, like literally, like the kid caused that whole like zombies to break into the house.
She was trying to be a good person. All right. But yeah, I think it was very similar to that opening scene. And I honestly, I didn't even think about it while I was watching it. Like I had to look back at it and then realize it was similar. But I think there were certain differences, and I'll talk about the differences briefly because I brought them up to you and our buddy that we watched it with last night, that it's hard for me to have continuity errors in film and not focus on them.
Yeah.
So one thing is the conversation in 28 weeks later that was started saying every one of the infected starved off. They all died of starvation, give or take like 20 weeks or 24 weeks or something like that in. And that's why 28 weeks later happened with the NATO mission, because all the infected were dead.
It's like, oh, let's clear out the zombies. It's good. It's go time now.
We can repopulate with the civilians. And then the kids fucked it up in one night, which is crazy, by the way. Fucking one day, and they had to firebomb London again.
Pretty much. But the thing is, my mindset is that like when they were making 28 weeks later, they probably weren't thinking of a sequel.
Yeah. And our buddy came up with one good argument, which is at the end of 28 weeks later, they get to France, or the infected get to France. And then at the beginning of 28 years later, they say that they've pushed the infection off of continental Europe back to just the UK. So arguably, maybe they had more of a food source, or maybe that was a kind of time for the infection to mutate so they didn't starve, or maybe they, only pushed them back like 6 months ago. Like, we don't know in that regard.
Yeah, who knows, man? Who knows?
So I'll suspend disbelief.
I'm just glad that we get another good zombie horror movie, because recently, dude,
it's been a while.
Horror movies in general just suck.
I don't know if it's like we've already done everything. I don't know. Like, it's hard to say, Yeah. Because even this one is it's not a remake, but it's in a series.
Yeah, but like just everything in general, just movies are just bad, man.
Yeah.
This one was good. This was.
I don't know. This one was good. So, restoring faith.
Yeah, but anyways, going back into it, dude, there were creepy ass elements in this movie. Like, there were scenes where, like, you would see nighttime and you would see the zombies in the night.
Yeah.
Doing whatever they're doing, and it's fucking creepy because, like, when you're got that, like, night vision, you got that green hue to it. This one is red. I was like, oh god, this is even more creepier.
It was, again, that happened in 28 Weeks Later too, when they were like going down the escalator scene. And was it the mom from Insidious? I don't know why. I always think that it was. It was, right? Rose Byrne.
Rose Byrne, Brian.
Yeah.
Dude, she plays
everything in horror
films.
films.
And
She's
that's
always
her thing,
the
man.
mom
That's
thing.
her thing, man.
But she had the night vision goggles on and it was green and everything. But yeah, this was like full screen, bright red, watching,
it's like you're watching
the
a surveillance
zombies.
Camera of the zombies.
Yeah. And they're pulling the heads off of deers and like feeding on the intestines and stuff. Like it was so well done. And that, again, was different from the other ones because, like you said, like the full screen red camera, night vision,
Mm-hmm.
so different, which was fucking hella creepy, which was nice. And again, even in the creepy aspects, they had these like flashbacks to war times or
Like,
cult-like meetings,
Yeah.
or medieval times.
Yeah, that was kind of like what you kind of saw or like heard in the trailers when they were doing like like they're counting the footsteps and everything. That really set the mood for everything.
Yeah, because in the cult they were teaching them how to shoot bows and arrows and how to march and how to do all these things properly, and they would cut back to like World War times where you see the militaries marching, and it would be these creepy kind of like flashbacks and forths between the two. And
was it really necessary? But
no, but
not really. But it just added to like that weird tension that was building up. You're like, oh god, something's gonna happen.
And if you go into it thinking that it will be like the other ones, it's not. And more importantly, above anything else, it's good, but it is weird. It is definitely a weird film.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I enjoy that. That added to the creepiness factor. There was one thing that you didn't like, and we touched on it with each other a little bit.
I want to kind of like brief the brief you guys before we get to that part.
Okay.
So just I'm just gonna speed run the plot points.
Sure.
Basically, child, dad, they're in an island and they gotta go. It's the child's first time leaving the island to go to the mainland so they can forage, get some resources and stuff.
He's a hunter in the community, so he has to go to the mainland.
Exactly. So they do it. They go out to the forest and he kills his first zombie,
which marks him as a hunter. Yeah, which is what he was doing.
God damn, the fat zombies.
Yeah, that's another mutation. They're like, oh, these are the slow ones, and they're just like morbidly obese zombies like crawling on the ground,
mucus, like worms, dude.
Yeah, and they're all slimy and shit.
They're so quiet,
and they're just like rustling up. They don't make any noise until they're like about to attack you, and then they scream when they die. That's it. Yeah, that's their whole shtick.
It's freaking creepy. But anyways, the dad and the kid basically they get trapped because we see the new zombie.
Yeah, the new like mutation.
The alphas.
The alphas.
They're just giant.
They're like 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Huge fucking cock on them.
Yeah, dude. The movie did not shy away from showing us the penars.
No. And they basically made the argument that these alphas over time, for some reason, the infection in certain people basically turned into steroids.
Yeah.
They just got huge.
They're just
fucking
yoked.
Massive tall people.
And the alphas can control zombies.
Yes.
That's why in the trailers you saw like one zombie that you saw them like running across the hill in the field, except you saw one just like standing there by walking.
the tree.
Yeah, that was the alpha. I was like, oh shit, that's creepy.
And that was one of the good scenes that like just held there, because you see the tree on the hill and the shadow of it, and then you see the alpha just standing next to the tree, just standing there, and
menacingly.
It holds that for like 20 seconds.
Yeah,
and
you're
it's
just
so
like,
creepy.
And like, cause they're like, stay still.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he calls for the other zombies. And
Just
like,
attack,
oh shit, let's get the hell out of here.
It's fucking
Anyways,
crazy.
They make it back to the base, and then, but the thing is, the kid's mom is kind of sick, right?
Kind of sick.
Yeah. But when they're out there, they kind of notice that there's fires going on, and backstory. There's like a doctor, kind of insane doctor,
played by
goddamn freaking Voldemort.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that guy, you get backstory saying that like, hey, like this doctor's insane, but he's been burning bodies.
He's been collecting bodies and burning them, and he's been doing it for like 15 years.
So the kid's like, wow, we don't have a doctor, so I'm gonna try and cure my mom by taking him to the doctor. So the kid, like, basically sets a fire in the village to sneak him and his mom out back into the mainland when zombie infested. And I'm like, dude, no.
Yeah, It's the classic thing of you're like, dude, like you're such an idiot.
Yeah,
Man.
but I can see a kid doing that.
Of course, he's 12.
Dude.
He's 12 in the
Dude,
movie.
I heard like the audience go
Yeah.
like, "Oh no,
Well,
don't do it."
Before we move forward, there's this one thing when they get back to the village, they have to go during the night because the building that they were hiding from the Alpha in, like, was old and decrepit, and it fell down. So they run back at night, and as they're running back, it's not low enough tide yet to see the stones. So they're like guiding themselves in like shin height water across the stones to get to the village in the water. And as they're running, you see like the calmness except for their footsteps in the water.
Yeah.
You look up at the sky and there's no light pollution. So it's like you see the Milky Way galaxy.
It's beautiful, and they're
the
like
stars.
they're just like congratulations.
they're like, we're doing it.
Yeah,
Let's go.
It's like your first time out. Good job.
And they look in the back and it's so dark, but all you can see are these like rampant splashes in the water coming through.
Bro.
And you just hear this and you can tell that this fucking alpha is chasing them.
And because like,
all
they
the
have
way
the
through
rage
the water.
fires,
Yeah.
unlimited energy, so he just constantly just fucking
He's
hauling
fucking Usain
ass.
bolting this shit.
Yeah.
And-
and they're just like, run.
And they're
run.
pumping arrows. They put them like 6, 8, 10 arrows in. And the only thing that finally puts them down is like when they get to the gate and they're being screamed at, like, let us in, let us in. There's like this giant crossbow that fires basically like a flaming log into the chest of this alpha. And that's the final thing that puts it down.
Dude,
Like
it was nutty.
an insane scene. And that's one of the scenes where he was like stressing. He's like, oh my God, like, get in,
God
get in.
damn it, man.
Yeah. But anyways, I need to bring that up because that was my favorite scene.
Yeah. But basically the mom and son are like, getting chased by a bunch of zombies. And then the one thing I didn't like was an army person,
Yes.
soldier
Yes. From Sweden.
from Sweden rescued them.
Yep.
I didn't like that because that was kind of similar to 28 Weeks Later.
Yeah.
Because what I found was, the opening sequence was amazing. And then it switched to like, hey, it's the army now. Like,
Yeah,
it
we
was-
never saw the kid, by the way, that survived the church thing that we talked about.
Yeah,
We
in
never
the-
saw him.
in the very beginning. So like, I just didn't like how they brought in like the army there.
The military, yeah.
But thankfully, the guy didn't last long.
Yeah. So they touched on it that the UK is kind of quarantined, and
Mhm.
basically it's a you set foot on the island, you're not never getting off type idea.
Yeah.
And this army guy, basically all the other countries in the world, I guess specifically Europe, have boats that patrol the border of the UK to make sure that nobody gets off. And their boat, the Swedish border patrol boat, quarantine patrol, I guess,
Mhm.
crashed into something in the reef, and then
Yeah.
basically ended up washing ashore.
Yeah, like the wind blew them inland.
So they're inland now, and they're like, ah, shit, like, we got to try to get out. Obviously, they can't. 2 of them die, and this is the one survivor. And he happens to be in the right place at the right time, saves
Yeah.
Spike, the kid, and the mom.
Initially, I was like, I whispered to call him like, fuck, there's another army person. It's like the last movie.
And you also thought it was the little boy that survived from the church.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But I did kind of like him because he provided a lot of comedic elements to it.
And that's the thing of the other movies had zero comedic relief.
Mhm.
Zero. And then there's this army guy, and he's like, yeah, here's my like baddie bitch that I'm like fucking banging. And the kid's like, why is her lips
like,
look
"What's
like
wrong with
that?
her
She looks
face?"
fucking weird.
Yeah,
Oh, we have somebody like that in our village. It happens when she has shellfish because she's allergic to it.
Yeah, because
It's
she's
like-
got the lip fillers and
Yeah.
plastic surgery.
And he's like, shut up, dude. She's hot.
Yeah, and it kind of took me out of it, but I was like, huh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
The world is basically like ours outside of the
Yeah,
UK.
it's modern. It's exactly how you are right now.
Yeah, like because he had an iPhone.
Yeah, internet.
He's showing him
online.
everything, and then he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh well, okay, out of power. Throw this away."
Yeah.
So it kind of threw me for a loop, but I'm like, "Oh, that makes sense."
Yep.
Basically, UK is just secluded from the world because of
Yep.
all the zombies.
Yep. And so he's got like an M4 and he's fucking running around with these guys, and he finally they kind of get locked into this train because for some reason they let the mom like get
Yeah,
like 500 meters in front of them or something.
that
Like,
was
crazy.
stupid. I'm like, wait, why why is the mom leading?
And
them?
she has confusion and episodes and like faints.
Yeah,
and
she's
it's like,
kinda
why are
crazy.
you by yourself up? Anyways, she gets into this train because she hears screaming, and we see a pregnant infected.
Yeah.
And she's like, the mom probably doesn't know what's happening. The pregnant infected is like screaming from the pain, and the mom like reaches out her hands. Her name's Isla. Reaches out her hands, and like the infected grabs the hands and then gives birth to a baby.
Yeah, did we really need to see a birth scene? A baby getting birth from a infected woman?
I think if you give zombie films enough time, they're gonna have a birth scene. It just happens.
Yeah.
But they go through that, and then the infected mom freaks out, and the Swedish guy just puts 60 holes in her.
Yeah.
Like just
initially you're like, oh my god, is this like a phenomenon where like, you know,
maybe they're healing.
like they're healing because the baby looks like not infected.
Yeah.
And then because she's like passed out.
Yeah.
And then she wakes up and then she gets
60
shot
holes.
at. Yeah.
And then the alpha's way of killing is to grab the head of its enemy and rip
it out.
its fucking spine out of its body.
It's like Predator style.
Yeah, Predator style. And it's insane every time it happens.
Yeah.
So basically, you can tell that the alpha was the one that fathered this child from the infected, and basically grabbed the Swedish guy's head and like just ripped his head off. And then now obviously it's chasing Spike, the kid, and Isla, the mom, who is holding his baby. And they run. And as they're about to get caught, obviously, you just see a blow dart come out and just into the alpha's neck. And the alpha just like falls asleep, like just standing up, falls asleep.
Freaking Voldemort took time from the goddamn wizard world,
from the fires,
and decided to become a doctor.
Yeah. And he's just like, yes, I find a beautiful mix of morphine and Zyadine make a perfect sleep medicine. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, this like because we've been getting alluded to with this doctor, but like this is
he's also bright orange.
Yeah,
like oranger than the person that you think of when we say the orange man. Like so orange, and he's like, that's Samson. I named him. He lives here. He's been here for
Samson
about 3 years.
Alpha, dude.
We're like Samson the Alpha, and it's like, yeah, okay. And he's like, we should go before he wakes up. But also, Samson, I'm gonna take that Swedish guy's head. Okay, just let me. Okay, and then they just run off. They scurry off. It's like, okay.
I'm surprised. Right? Like he basically incapacitated the alpha, but he didn't kill it.
No,
that's what kind of threw me for a loop. I'm like, why didn't he just off a dangerous zombie? Unless he's trying to like observe and research.
I think it alludes to a comment that he makes later, which we'll get to here, where he basically brings the son and the mom to his like
place of
his like residence. Little safe village thing, but it's just him. And you basically find out that the bonfires that he's been lighting is him melting the flesh off of the bones of the dead that he's collected, and then he bleaches them and washes them, and then he erects like monuments, like towers and pillars of bones.
This guy's building like a goddamn mausoleum.
And what does he say? He was like, momentous mori.
Yeah, momentous mori or something.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, remember the dead, remember we must die type idea.
Something in Latin.
Yeah.
Dead language anyways.
Yeah, exactly. But he said, oh, these are from all the bodies of the dead, infected and unaffected alike, because they are alike. So I think he didn't kill Samson because to him, Samson is the same as an uninfected.
Yeah, he's alive, basically.
So he's not going to kill somebody. That's what I assume is the message there.
Yeah.
Which is shitty for the later parts, but yeah, they go through and they get this, and lo and behold, the doctor is like, yeah, I can do a very preliminary diagnosis of Isla. So he's like, okay. He asks for consent. He's like, may I touch your breasts and under your arms?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I was like, this guy's actually like going through like the doctor process.
Actual doctor shit, yeah.
Even though it's like goddamn zombies everywhere. Yeah. Like,
there's an alpha like fucking down the street, like ready to kill them. And he's like, yeah. So he does that. And then, dude, how shitty is it that in this fucking apocalyptic infected zombie world, you hear from your doctor, sorry, you have cancer. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, you got the shittiest end of that fucking stick.
Yep. Also, the son is like, dude, I know something's wrong with my mom.
Yeah.
I'm going to take her to this doctor that, like, I didn't even know existed.
Can probably heal her, too, because he's a doctor.
Yeah, he's 12, right?
Yeah.
He's like, this guy can fix her.
Yeah.
She's got cancer. She's going to die soon.
Yeah. And he's like, what's cancer?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, this kid doesn't know shit.
He doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
And shitty enough, the mom, Isla, was like, yeah, I thought it might be cancer, but like I didn't have the heart to tell you.
Yeah.
I was like, what? You fucking what?
Yeah.
So anyways, heartfelt moment, feelings go by, and basically
it was very touching.
Yeah. And Isla chooses to have a peaceful death by the doctor's hand. Great. And then
I like how it was like unspoken too. They just looked at each other.
And there was like a slight nod, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then Jeffrey's favorite part was the kid was drugged out, because obviously the kid would like fight the doctor on trying to kill his mom, right?
Basically, the doctor just blow darted him.
Yeah, with the morphine shit. That knocked out a fucking alpha, by the way. So like obviously it's strong shit.
The kid's
and he's drugged out. And then as he's coming to and he's like kind of lucid, the doctor's like, here's the skull of your mother that I just killed. Go put her among the heads of the tower that we have. What?
Dude, I was like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck?
And to me, I was like, okay, that's really fucking weird, right? But then I took a moment and I was like, you know what? To this kid, that's probably somewhat normal.
Yeah.
like he's probably like, yeah, actually, okay, that makes sense.
Like, yeah, I gotta respect the dead, man.
Yeah, like fucking
my mom was alive 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Now I have a skull of her.
Yeah. And it's like, this guy's a doctor. He knows what he's talking about. We don't have a doctor in my village.
Yeah, it was touching.
Yeah.
It was actually really well done in my opinion.
And
fucking weird.
And they are still holding the baby, and the doctor makes a comment. It's like, the magic of the placenta, an uninfected baby born from the infected.
It's kind of drop some lore on us.
Yeah, he's like an actual doctor, because the placenta is meant to clear impurities out of like the fluids that are being passed to the baby in the womb.
So basically, if two infected do it, and one gets pregnant, because like they still have the basic human function, right?
Yeah.
Bodily functions. Yeah. Get pregnant, they can give birth to a baby
that is uninfected,
or that could just be like 1 in a million chance of that happening. You never know.
You never know. It could be.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
But all we know right now is that, like, from what we've been told, this baby's uninfected.
Yeah.
So at this point now, the doctor's like, yeah, you should probably head home.
I was like, dude, stay with the doctor, man. This guy knows his shit.
Yeah, no, the doctor's busy burning bodies and shit.
Yeah.
So he goes on his way home, and he like gets home, and then as he's about to get through the gate, we then hear his voice and a letter that he's written to his dad, who is played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. Really well done as well.
Kick-ass.
Yeah, Kick-Ass and Godzilla and a Bullet Train. That's the other one. And Quicksilver. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I forgot about that
he's 2 Quicksilvers, actually.
He's pretty good. I like him.
That guy's got range.
Anyways, I loved him in Bullet Train. Regardless, we're getting off track. But we're just glazing Aaron Taylor Johnson. So we hear a letter being read from his voice, from the kid's voice, Spike. And basically it says, like, Dad, don't come looking for me. I'm going to return when I feel the time is right. And, like, I think it's basically him saying, there was a doctor out there. There was more out there to see than what I was told.
Basically, he's going to walk his own path.
Yeah, and he also, I think there's a little bit of guilt because, like, he did burn part of the village, and he, like, did kind of step on toes.
Screw it. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I think he stepped on toes and was like, hey, I'll come when I'm ready. Don't worry about it. But here's this baby. It's uninfected, but it was born from infected. And her name is Isla. So he named it after his dead mother, which was great. That was touching. That was very nice. And then Aaron Taylor Johnson runs out into the water and screams. And
he's like, right,
Braveheart. Right. Yeah, exactly. So now comes the wildest part, because now we're at the ending. We're like,
this was like, what the fuck did I just see?
So Spike is in this mountain pass, and it's winding mountain pass, and he's on the road, and he's growing up fish, and he hears an infected.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
The fish look tasty too.
And the infected comes, and he plugs it in the head. But as he's plugging it in the head, it screams. So obviously more infected come from behind it. one of my favorite things is
you
know what I'm gonna say.
I love this.
Yeah.
I love this.
There's a few infected, and Spike obviously grabs his shit, leaves the fire and the food and whatever else, and he starts booking down the other way, like plugging a couple zombies. But there's a group of zombies chasing him. But one zombie veers off from the group and just like spear tackles the fucking fish and just starts eating the fish.
He basically stole his dinner.
He's like, yo, fuck this kid. Like, he just starts eating.
That shit was actually so funny.
That's some you shit that you would pull. You'd be like, yo, go get him. Go get him. Go get him. But, so all these zombies are chasing Spike. Okay, great. And through the winding road, he obviously is just following the road.
Yeah.
And then he comes around a bend, and boom, the road is basically blockaded by
a bunch of boulders.
That seem like they've fallen off of the cliff walls. Okay, great. So he turns and he kind of like stands his ground. He plugs 2 more zombies, fucking ear holes them.
Yep.
Great.
Last stand, basically.
And there's like a whole bunch more coming. And then we hear a voice from above him. And it's just his voice being like, you're doing pretty good for how old you are.
Yeah.
I don't think you can take that many, though. Do you mind if we step in? And it's this like guy who's bleach blonde hair with like a coconut bowl cut.
Yep.
He's in a purple tracksuit, fucked up teeth.
He's what I imagine. I don't know what the exact word is for them. It's like, those like tough guy UK guys.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Like in tracksuits and everything. There's a term for them.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's derogatory or it's just what they were called.
Okay,
but like,
sure, yeah.
Yeah, but like it's just a blood. Blood.
Okay, got it. Yeah, sure.
BLUD, you know.
Yeah, like young blood. Yeah. But yeah, he's up there and he's like, yeah, do you mind if we take care of this? And for some reason, Spike hesitates. He's like, maybe I can take this many zombies. I don't know what's going on in his head. He hesitates. He's like looking at the zombie, then looking at this guy, looking at the zombie, looking at this guy. And then he's like,
who the fuck is this guy?
Okay, yeah, can you help me? And then like fucking the Power Rangers come out.
Yep.
There's 8 more that look exactly like this motherfucker.
With the tracksuit, but different colors.
With different like bright orange, green, fucking all these things. Yep. And they all have different weapons. One guy's got like nunchucks. One guy's got like the dog catching lasso thing on a stick.
Like, I think someone's got like
head
shears,
trimmers. Yeah,
one
one guy's got a knife and shit. One guy's got just a bat and a golf club. And the leader, the purple tracksuit guy, I'll just name him Purple. He's just like, hold, go. Yeah. And then fucking the Power Rangers do front flips off of this rock.
They're
wall.
basically parkouring / killing the zombies.
Yeah, they're like doing backflips and front flips and like they're sawing the head off of these zombies and shit.
It went from like a creepy, eerie, tense zombie movie to like a wacky, funny, kill 'em, sock 'em, zombies.
Rock 'em, sock 'em robots. Yeah,
right.
It was so bizarre, but it was great.
Yeah, everyone was like in the movie theater. They were just like, "The fuck is going on?"
And then after it all ended, he goes and Spike's like, "Oh, thank you so much. My name's Spike." And then the leader's like, "Oh, my name's Jimmy." And Jimmy, you see his hand reach out to shake the hand, and it's got the gold cross from the kid that survived the church killing
from the very beginning,
from the very first like 4 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
This is fucking news to us. We haven't seen anybody.
Yeah.
But throughout the film, there were tidbits dropped of Jimmy. There was this guy who was hung up by his feet that was infected with his head in a bag, and he had Jimmy scarred into his stomach.
Yep.
There was a writing on a wall that says, "Oh, he hears all, Jimmy," or like, "He's coming for you, Jimmy."
Yep.
So obviously Jimmy is like this prolific guy on the mainland that's been doing stuff, and he's got his fucking Power Rangers with him and shit, and like they probably built the wall.
But the thing is, like, because in the very beginning you were watching a TV show of like the Teletubbies.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it was based off.
I think
everyone was the Teletubby color.
It's not the Power Rangers. It is Teletubbies, but like. It was just a wild.
Yeah,
it was so crazy.
Whoa, what the hell? And then end of the movie, end scene. You're like, huh? Well, that was something.
I will say I'm fucking amped for the sequel though.
I wonder what the sequel is gonna be like. Is it gonna be like, kind of just like a wacky kill 'em zombies, or is it gonna be tense?
Well, supposedly Cillian Murphy's character is in it.
No way.
Yeah, in the sequel.
That's
because in 28 Days Later, him and his 2 counterparts, the younger daughter and the woman that was with him, they like stitched together the help sign, and then a plane flew over, and they smiled at each other, being like, "Oh, do you think they saw us this time?" So you think that they got saved,
Yep.
So,
Well, if we're going based off the fact that like UK is like a dead zone, no one can rescue them.
Yep.
They've been in the mainland for all these 28 years. Right?
Jimmy or
It's Cillian Murphy.
no, but see the help and the plane flying over them. That was before they quarantined the entire island. So maybe they got saved.
Or maybe, they've just been there.
Maybe,
right?
yeah, maybe
So
they're the ones leading Jimmy's group or something. I don't know.
Exactly. So it's pretty cool. They tied it in everything.
Yeah.
But, I wonder what the next sequel is going to be like.
Well,
It's so weird.
My big question is the whole series started with these monkeys or chimps being tested and then
The rage virus.
Yeah, and the eco savior people, like basically PETA, came in and they said, no, like this is inhumane. We need to fucking release them.
Yeah.
That's how it started. Where the fuck did the rage virus come from? Why were these monkeys infected with it in the first place?
I think they were like testing, like, I think it's always like, hey, biological weapon.
You think
like
it's
that.
biological
It's
weapon?
probably, it's always like that, man.
Okay.
Some government stuff. It always is
Interesting.
like that.
I don't know, because in this one there was a scene where Aaron Taylor Johnson grabs the knife from his son because lo and behold, Aaron Taylor Johnson was cheating on his wife, and the son found out and basically pulled a knife on him and said, "Get out of our lives." And Aaron Taylor Johnson grabs the knife, and you see his fist like shaking, and then he like thinks for a second and then gives the knife.
I'm
back.
sure he was just pissed, man.
But I don't know why that gave me the feeling that maybe the rage virus has something to do with like inhumanity and rage infecting people without a bio
I
weapon.
think you're looking too far into it.
I
think he's just, if your son just pulled a knife on you, saying like, "Get the fuck out of our lives,"
Yeah.
I'd be pretty pissed too.
Yeah, I'd be pretty pissed too. But like, I don't know if the movie would like zoom in on the fist and like film it and everything. Like, I don't know the way it felt like more. It felt like more. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna call it now and say it has something to do with that maybe, but who knows? We'll see when the Bone Temple comes out.
The Boner Temple.
Bone Temple.
Anyways, that's basically the movie, man. Like,
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, even though like wacky ending. That's
What
for
would
sure.
you give it out of 10? Let's do some ratings. Let's give it out of 10.
The fact that like I was stressed, man. I would give it a goddamn like
You can give decimals.
8.5.
8.5. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like 8.8, like almost a 9.
God, what did they?
Yeah.
Why are you docking 1.2 points? Where did the 0.2 points come from?
The 0.2 came from not enough Samson cock. No.
God damn. God damn.
I think the minus 1.2, like the entire minus 1.2, is the lack of explanation is why the infected are still here after they were supposed to starve out after a while. Like
Yeah,
that just sticks in my mind.
Yeah, or maybe they just want to just leave that open for interpretation, right?
Maybe 100%. But I'd like a reason. Like they try to explain everything else. They're like 28 weeks later, 28 years later, 28 days later. Like they try to give reasons for these things.
Mm-hmm,
So I will say that like I think the continuity not being explained is docking points for me for sure. But I think that's probably it. Oh, and the point that we never got to, which we'll fucking talk about right now, which is the extra for the 1.2. There was one or two scenes that basically were showing that since the infected have taken over the UK, nature has come back to
right.
to the land. And because of that, there are these herds, like major, massive herds
Like
of deer
gazelle,
or elk
whatever.
or caribou, whatever. And there was probably thousands of them.
Yeah.
Blatantly, obviously CGI.
Yeah. I looked at it. I was like, well, that doesn't look that good.
Yeah. I think it could have been better CGI. I also think that the reason why it looked not great is because you had 1,000 of them. I think if you spotted them here or there, little groups or whatever it is.
They could just have like a couple dozen stampeding. That would have been fine.
And I think it would have had the same effect.
Yeah. Just like oh shit, these animals are clearly CG.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of weird. Even though like the zombies look good. Like
The zombies look good. They were all practical, basically.
Yeah, all practical effects. No special effects. Just
every arrow that hit a zombie was slow mo.
Yeah. And they had that stop
freeze
motion.
frame.
Freeze frame. Whoop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, I think for that reason, I think 1.2.
Yeah, dude, the CG was a little weird.
Yeah.
A little weird.
But still, phenomenal movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen it, firstly, go watch 28 Days and 28 Weeks Later.
Yeah, hopefully we didn't spoil anything for you guys.
Yeah. And yeah, go watch it. Check it out. I'm sure we'll do another one when the Bone Temple comes out.
Boner Temple.
So let us know. Let us know down below what your guys' thoughts on 28 Years Later was, and the other ones, I guess, if
Yeah,
you're
if
there,
watched
anyways.
them, yeah.
And what your guys' rating were they better or worse than this one? All that good stuff. Now, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you on the next
Bell
one.
notification.
Peace.